Good morning, friends. Another piece of safety, like I said, we're going to talk about this for a minute, is about the safety that we are seeking in response to our trauma. A lot of times, we who have had traumatic experiences are looking to find safety. And oftentimes what ends up happening instead is they find an escape. So an escape can be what we look at as addiction, whether it's a substance or a process addiction, which can be behavioral addiction, such as gambling, pornography, shopping, etc. And so being aware of every person who's struggling with some kind of distraction, whether it's scrolling on Instagram or shooting up heroin, there's usually an effort to manage distress. And so the distress often happens because of something that's unresolved, that we don't have the skills or awareness or ability or safety to be able to heal. A lot of times I meet people, when I ask them what would be safe for you, they can only describe what would be absent in the place of safety. They really struggle to identify what safety would look like. And that is a really good indicator that they haven't had safety in a long time. And so being aware that people who are struggling to identify what safety looks like is pretty normal if you've never had it, if it's not familiar. And oftentimes what I found is when we finally reach safety, there is an emotional release, and not because it's bad, but because it's relief. It's finally there. And a lot of times when there's been traumatic past, it's hard to trust that safety. So even if someone around us is being safe or kind or wonderful or whatever, there might be tendencies towards sabotage because they don't trust it, and they say, let's just show me who you really are. But there's also patterns of being able to believe that it's going to stick. And so being able to be consistent in who we are allows for safety of the people around us. But the thing is most people don't know what safety looks like. And safety can also mean, for some people, just stability. I've known a lot of people who they have very erratic, chaotic lives, and they resist routine. And that routine and predictability is something that each of us needs to contribute to and feel safe, because it creates a predictability. A lot of times when I was working with children, what I learned in every parenting book I read was the problem isn't what the intervention is, but more about the consistent predictability of it. If my kid knows every time that A happens, then B happens, then it creates a predictive pattern that allows for stability and predictability. Now, granted, the research has changed a lot in the past 15 years. And so if we can create and contribute to safety there before and add consistency, that's important. But as we're paying attention to what are the things that our addictions do that resist safety, there is no stability in the chaos that addiction brings. The number of times that I can say, oh, I have 3 hours, I could do something. I could work on a project. I could finish reading a book. I could do something that I really enjoy. But I end up being stuck in a scrolling pattern or just bouncing between tasks and never getting something done, because those kinds of things have been inconsistent and chaotic in the past is many. And so learning how to make myself finish things and follow through and take things off of my plate. This year has been a year of finishing things. It was, the resolution that I set. And I've been consistently going through from project to project, finishing projects that have been sitting there, some of them for years, some of them for more than a decade. But finishing them and noticing the relief that comes from removing that from my list of things to do that runs through my mind several times a day. And so creating that safety. But a lot of times when we have these addictive patterns, we don't know what it looks like. And when it happens, it feels really unsteady and we don't trust it. And so beginning to be able to say, oh, if I do the same thing every night as part of my bedtime routine. Or if I choose to do these things as my dailies for my recovery, and creating some consistency and stability and building trust within ourselves, that can go so far in our relationship with ourselves and the things that we experience with other people. And so paying attention to the fact that this will take a long time. There are many people I've met that have had so many days, weeks, hours, months of inpatient treatment due to addictive patterns, but still struggle to create a consistent pattern because it feels boring, because it's so different than the family of origin that they grew up in. And so being able to begin to create some kind of consistent pattern that's predictable creates and contributes to safety. So paying attention to, do I have a routine? Are there certain things that I'm doing that interfere with my safety? Are there certain people that interfere with my safety? Are there certain things that I can do on a consistent basis that reinforces my feelings of safety? And how can I engage in those on a consistent and intentional way to contribute to my healing? I hope that helps, and good luck with your efforts this week.